The Genesis GV70 got some exciting upgrades for the 2026 model year. It's a refresh year, and they've introduced a new G-Matrix style grille, revised bumpers, and new wheel choices. There's also new hydraulic bushings and refined adaptive suspension, along with the new infotainment and cluster screen setup. And in this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the Genesis GV70. The one in behind me here is in the Ceres blue matte exterior. And the matte paints inside of Genesis cars are beautiful. It's very different from the metallics. And here's the thing, as beautiful as they are, they can be a little bit of a pain to keep clean. So I'd recommend looking at either paint protection film or ceramic coating, whether you decide to go for one of the matte or the metallic finishes. You're only going to find the GV70 all-wheel drive, which I don't think is a bad thing. You get really good handling out of the vehicle, good performance. The responsiveness is absolutely there. It does help out that this is the sport model, so you've got the electronically controlled suspension system. But even still, if you're in one of the lower trims with that electronically controlled suspension, you do get really good handling and responsiveness. And turning radius in the car. Good, back up to speed. Beautiful. Yeah, so the overall handling that you get inside of this car, it really is excellent all around. You're gonna find 19 or 21-inch wheels inside of the GV70. And these 21s you'll find inside of the Sport look really nice, especially when paired with one of the matte paint choices. The redesign of the GV70 I think is excellent. You're still going to find LED headlamps across every trim level of the GV70. And there are also puddle lamps too. So as you walk up to the car at night, you've got that nice Genesis welcome mat. The grille looks excellent. I really like the redesign that Genesis has done here. One thing I really like about Genesis cars is all the technology you're going to find. There's the forward park sensing system, along with a front-facing camera. So there's a full 360 cam that you can take your finger and swipe across. The car also has park assist, so it can help out with parallel and perpendicular parking, whether you're inside the car or out. Really cool systems overall. Underneath the hood of the Genesis GV70, there are technically 3 different powertrains that are available. There's the electrified GV70, which is its own separate beast, and then you've got either the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder or there's the 3.5 liter V6. This one has the 3.5 liter V6, which means you're looking at 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. This car is a bit of a cannon, so let's get back up to highway speed here using launch control. So you hit the brake pedal, push and hold the accelerator pedal, and once you get to that 2,000 RPM, beautiful. And it's got a little bit of a V6 growl there too. It's not the most aggressive sounding engine, but I mean, you saw there the power that you get is excellent. I love this lane change assist feature. Like, Genesis, good job. Like, the lane change assist feature works well. The adaptive cruise control system is great. I love all the blind spot monitoring systems that are available inside of this car. The electrified version gives you more power and more torque. So if you're looking for an electric, the electrified GV70 is a blast. I do have a walkthrough on that one. It's the last generation version with a link down in the description of this video. But this 3.5 liter engine is incredible. And I like the way that Genesis has done the design here. You can see some basic engine components. And if you are doing some things yourself, you can easily check your oil along the right side and then top up your wiper fluid along the top left. And the warranty inside of the Genesis world is pretty solid, with the option of increasing warranty at time of purchase. But I recommend just take care of your car, whether it's a Genesis or not. Regularly scheduled oil changes, regular maintenance to get the best possible life you can out of this car. I've got a buddy who's got one of the original Hyundai Genesis coupes, and the car has got, I think, like 120,000 kilometers on it, and it looks pristine. But that just goes to show you, you take care of your car, these things can last if you treat them right. You've got power folding side view mirrors that have turn signals built in. They also have side mounted camera. There are puddle lights, blind spot monitoring system, and they're also auto dimming. So there's a lot to these side view mirrors, and they're heated. There's some intelligent access. As long as you've got the key fob on you, you can tap there to lock the doors, and then hopping inside. get to this interior in a second here, but you've got this nice leather finish along the door with some stitching that matches the inside. You've got 2 different speaker choices available inside of the GV70, and this one has the available 16 speaker B&O sound system. You'll find the option for first row, driver seat memory, and then the buttons here are going to be the same across the board. So you've got your side view mirror controls, window controls, and you can kill off power to those rear windows and the doors. Down low, there's a little bit of storage. On the inside, since this is a sport, you've got a different style pedal, with these just being your regular carpeted mats. I'd probably go the thermoplastic rubber trays instead. There are a few different options for the seats inside of the car. So this one has multi-way adjust, including the option of, look at that, adjusting out the leg cushion by itself. And then there's an ergo seat, which means that you're looking at a full massage chair seat inside of this car too. I love that Napa leather with a suede insert. And, I mean, this seat, this looks great. And if we look at the space inside of the car. So let's go. Driver's seat as far down as it's gonna go here. And up overhead, with me sitting fully upright, I've got 4.5 inches of headspace. So it's plenty spacious inside of this car. Comfortable too. That's one thing that I like about it. It's comfortable just sitting here, comfortable doing drives too. I love that, the new setup. Looking at the steering wheel and the cluster screen inside of the Genesis GV70. This is the non-electric version, and it's also a 2026 model. If you want to walk through on the last generation version, you'll find that down in the description of this video. So let's dive in and I'll show you everything that you need to know. First thing I'm going to point out is that the steering wheel is going to be heated. So just down the middle here, you've got a button there with 2 unique levels, and it's heated all the way around. Most trims are also going to have a power telescoping steering wheel. So just on the left side of the column there, you've got the option of going in, out, up and down to find that perfect position. Once you've got that set up, there's also seat memory too, along with side view mirror memory. So what you're going to do is get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like to. So you've got your button here in order to adjust out your leg cushion. You can move the seat forwards, backwards, up or down. You can adjust out the backrest here. And then there's also this little toggle here, so you can adjust out the seat bolsters. And also, there's 4-way lumbar support there too. Once you've got that set up, you're also going to get your side view mirrors set up. So tap either left or right in order to be able to adjust out each mirror as necessary. Once everything's set up there, you're then going to tap set in either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. So you've got 2 different memory profiles that are available there. And there are so many different buttons. So you can also increase, decrease the brightness of the cluster screen there if you like. Open and close the liftgate. Toggle traction control on or off. There's hill descent control there, and then your electronic parking brake. So you're just going to pull in towards you in order to turn that parking brake on. You're going to push the brake pedal in and then push away in order to turn that off. And there are so many different buttons in stock. So along the left-hand side here, you've got your light controls. You're going to be in the auto mode the majority of the time. Now, if you push away, that turns us into the auto headlamp mode. And what that means is that at nighttime, if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. But you can't permanently lock the high beams out in the daytime inside of the auto mode. At night, you just push away to turn them on. If you wanted to permanently lock them out though, go into the upper headlamp mode, push away to turn those high beams on, pull towards you to turn them off. Then you've got other light controls there, but yeah, you're going to be in the auto mode though the majority of the time. Your stalk along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you're just going to go 1 down for a quick mist wipe, go up 1 to put yourself into the auto mode, and then you can also control how fast or slow rain's hitting the windshield this way, or go into one of those crazy modes. Then you're just going to pull in towards you in order to get the front windshield wiper fluid going. You've got this little tab along the outside there, so you can go up or down in order to go to a few different variable speeds for your rear wiper there too. And then you're going to push away in order to get your rear wiper going. The car also has paddle shifters. So it's plus along the right-hand side, minus along the left. So if you needed to drop gears in order to shoot up your RPMs to pass people,
you've got that flexibility. If you need to rely on engine braking, you can also drop gears down this way too. If you've never used paddle shifters before, if you want a better explanation of how to use them, when to use them, why to use them, etc., you'll find that down in the description of this video. And then, so many different buttons. So the ones on the outside here, so these are going to be for cruise control. There's only a single type of cruise inside of Genesis vehicles, and that's the smart or the adaptive cruise control system. So that's your set it and forget it cruise. So let's say if you turn it on and it sets at 60, if the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your previously set speed. So to use the system, you toggle it on this way. Conditions are not met because I'm currently parked. So you have to be going at least 30 kilometers an hour or about 20-ish miles an hour in order to turn it on initially. You then increase or decrease your speed by going up and down this way. You can push and hold up, push and hold down to increase, decrease at larger increments. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed, push the button in the middle here to cancel or pause your speed, push in again to resume to your previously set speed. There's also a gap adjustment with 4 unique levels. That's how close or far are you from the leading vehicle. I'm personally okay with level 1. You might want to be on level 2, 3, or 4, depending on your comfort level. And then you've got this button here, and this one is going to be either your lane keep assist, so you can see there, icon's going away. So if you just do a quick button push, that's going to be the lane follow assist. So the car is not self-driving, but with that follow assist system turned on, if it recognizes the lane markings, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. You can keep your hands off the wheel. You shouldn't, but just in case you're rubbernecking like an idiot, whatever the case may be, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. And then you've got your lane follow assist. So if you take that same button, if you push and hold it, that toggles that other icon on or off. So the lane keep assist, what that one's going to do is if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, vibrate the wheel and it'll nudge you back into your lane. So they're 2 very different systems. I personally always use the lane follow assist, and I use adaptive cruise control pretty much all the time. So just on residential streets even too. Because again, if you lose focus for a brief second, it's going to keep you perfectly balanced in your lane. If you want a live demonstration of using that cruise control system, you'll find it down in the description. Now inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your setup for a second here, vehicle, then you've got driving convenience, smart cruise control. You've got your option based on driving style. So your adaptive cruise control will actually start to change based off of the way that you drive, but you can also set how close or far are you away from that leading vehicle. So you can adjust it there or by pushing the button there. But you can also control how fast the vehicle speeds up or how fast it slows down. So if there's somebody in front of you that slams on their brakes, do you want it to slow down a little bit slower or a little bit quicker? So you can adjust the reaction speed there and then how quick it accelerates. If you're using that cruise control system and it's not speeding up fast enough, you can also just hit the accelerator pedal yourself if you'd like. There's an available lane change assist too. So strictly on highways, as you are driving, what you'll notice is that there's going to be another icon here, and it's going to be green with arrows there. And yeah, it's cool. You can see the animations there. But what's going to happen here is that if those lane markings are recognized, you hit the turn stalk to go left or right. It's going to check to see if there's anybody in that lane, and then it's automatically going to change lanes for you. It is an amazing system. You've got a little custom button here that you can set up through the infotainment system, and then a pages button here in order to get to some additional views here too. And then you've got a series of other buttons. So you've got another custom button here. So there are 3 custom buttons there. And in order to set these up inside of the infotainment system, go to your setup, button touchpad, and then from there, so you've got your 1 button down there, but then you've got your 3 options on the steering wheel. So this button, what does that little guy do? Going out to the side there, you can have it adjust out to your Bluetooth audio, have it reject phone calls, go to your home screen, toggle the display off, etc. Your star button along the steering wheel there, what does that do? Does it bring your phone up, take it to the home screen, put you into quiet mode? Does it do nothing, etc.? So you can again change that out. Your mode button along the steering wheel, or does this little feller? That's going to change between different sources. So if you have a tendency to listen to FM and SiriusXM only, or also sounds of nature, you can set this up. And from there, if you now push that, that's going to change up whatever audio source you're listening to. So it's kind of neat that you've got the flexibility of adjusting these buttons out to something unique. You can answer or hang up on a phone call this way if you'd like to. You've got your volume rocker down there, so you can adjust volume this way, push in the middle to mute, and then you can do the same here. So you can adjust your audio volume this way, push in order to mute out there too. So pretty simple. There's a voice command prompt here, and the voice command prompt is going to let you do things like change stations if you'd like to. You can navigate using your voice. You can even control so many different things. You can change your climate using your voice there too. You can adjust your heated ventilated seats if you'd like to, all using your voice. So what I'd actually recommend, when you get your Genesis, go through this screen to see what you can do. Like, this is just some of what you can do, but most of the vehicle controls can be done using the voice command prompt. And then if you've got a phone hooked up, so Android or iPhone devices, you can push and hold that button in order for you to either activate Android Auto or Apple CarPlay Assistant, so either your Google or your Siri Assistant too. Inside of the cluster screen, there are a few unique looks that are available. So I've got it set up for this kind of old school traditional look. Now inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your screen theme and layout, you've got either automatic, black, or white. So we're in automatic, which means that the vehicle is going to determine if we're in black or white, just depending on how bright it is outside. But you can lock it in either way. So I love that black look. So if you wanted to permanently lock it out there, you could do that. But auto means that it flips it out one way or the other, but you can permanently lock it in to any of those other options too. On top of that, you can change out the exterior color of the vehicle. And where that comes into play is as we go into things like our 360 camera, you can see the color of the car there. So that can be dynamic just based off of the color that you've got selected here. You can change the font size for both the maps and then for the audio screen there too. Your cluster theme selection. You've got your cluster widgets here too. So cluster widgets right in the very middle, but what shows up here? Your gauges, you can change between either analog or digital. So if you wanted to go into the kind of that new school look, I'm personally a bigger fan of that old school analog setup there, but you can go either one. So you'll get the tachometer, speedometer there, or do you just want the speedometer? So I'm a bigger fan there, but you can adjust it out. And then you've got your cluster mode. Do you want to have it in normal versus your map modes, wide modes, etc. So again, customizing that to look a little bit different, you've got that available. And then the last important one is going to be in your setup. So if you go to your setup again, into your general settings at the very end, you can change up the language of the vehicle. But the big one here is going to be your measurement units. So do you want your measurement units to be in either kilometers, or do you want them to be in miles? If you're in kilometers, your fuel economy, you want to be in liters per 100. But you can adjust that out easily there. You can see it adjusted out on the fly. You can change up your measurement units for the temperature, so Celsius, Fahrenheit. Your air pressure, do you want to be in PSI, kPa, or bar? How do you want your turbo and your torque measured there too? And on this setup, you've got your fuel gauge along the very bottom there, done two different ways. So you've got your basic gauge with your mileage till empty, outside temperatures there, along with your current odometer. Along the top, it's what gear are you currently in. So reverse, neutral, drive, etc. You can see there, because we're in drive, you can see all of your different park sensing systems there. And back to park. Along the top, if you've got your cruise control, yeah, that's not going to work because I'm currently parked right now. But if you've got your lane follow assist, lane keep assist, etc. activated, those icons will show up. And then you've got your little scroll wheel here that I was pointing out. So if you just tap it right now, that's going to give you the flexibility of moving up and down to go between all of your different options here. So you've got your last refueling, reset, etc. So if we start our current trip, so that's from the last time that the ignition was turned on. Your since refueling is since the last time you filled up. That's the economy that you've gotten with the distance you've traveled. And then your last reset. In order to reset these, what you're going to do is take this little thing. You see where we're going up and down here. You're just going to double push in the middle there. So you're just going to go 1, 2 in order to zero yourself back out again. But you can see here. So if we look at this as an example, there's a little notch right in the middle. And what that's going to say is we've used 12.7 liters per 100. Obviously going to be different if you're miles per gallon, but you've got that there. And then along the very bottom, it's also going to be your auto start stop system. Power distribution's there, so you can see which axle is getting which amount of power. Tire pressure, you have to actively be driving in order to see, but it's going to show up in PSI, kPa, or bar. There's your different temperatures there, your turbo gauges, etc. If you've got a route going, that's also going to show up here. So actually, if we navigate to Tim Hortons, selecting one of these routes here. And in just a second,
the route guidance will start now.
So you can see here,
meters, turn left and then turn left.
So you can see there you've got that option. So you've got your destination there, you've got a compass view, and then along the top there, you've also got some different turn-by-turn directions there. Swiping across is going to give us our current media that we're listening to. Across one more time, you've got a few different options for your weather. And then again, back to our main screen. You can also use your button along the left-hand side here. So we go up and down. There are 4 unique views that are available here too. So, I mean, if you wanted something a little bit more unique, you've got the flexibility of really kind of being able to adjust this out. So the page that we're on right now, this is the driving assistance view. So as you're driving, you'll be able to see different things. So as cars come up the left or the right side, you'll see kind of boxes moving along each side. If the lane markings are recognized, that goes green. It's really neat. If there's somebody that enters your blind spot, it also shows you along the very bottom, letting you know that somebody's on the blind spot on either side. It's actually really, really neat the way that Genesis has done this. This is the infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the Genesis GV70. It's the 2026 Plus models. So if you're in a 2025 or previous version, check down in the description of this video for a walkthrough on that last generation system. But this is closer to the GV80. But let's dive in. I'll show you what you need to know. Along the top side, you've got your current time, which you can tap in order to adjust your time out. You can tap here in order to be able to go through user profiles. A benefit here is that if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you'd easily be able to change between up to 3 individual profiles. So there's 2 main profiles and then a guest profile available. You just confirm through, and then you're logged into that profile. But the benefit here is that you'd be able to have it remember everything. So you can have it remember all of the presets that you've set up, phones that you've connected, things like that. You can password protect it if you want to. You've also got the flexibility of being able to set up a fingerprint identification too, which means that you wouldn't be able to use the infotainment system until you've used that fingerprint lock. You can change out your profile image. You can even link your digital key there. So you can link your phone as a key, things like that. Guest profiles there. And with the guest profile, so if you go to the 3 main profiles here, the actual guest profile has some limitations, specifically with rebooting options. Along the top here, you can push home in order to get to this basic home screen. Swipe across, tap here in order to turn the display off if you'd like to. Button push in order to bring it back to life. Tap again in order to reorder your icons. So if you wanted to change up the layout, you could. You're just going to push and hold. And once it's loose, you can then start dragging it around. So if you wanted to customize the layout of the icons here, you'd have the flexibility to do it. Once you do, just push back in order to lock it back into place. And then you can also look at your device connections. Along the top, you've got your current date and time. You might actually notice that the screen is moving around without me touching anything. And the reason why is because just underneath the screen here, we've got a back button, home button, a menu button, and then this giant dial. So you can move it around, and it acts as essentially like a multifunction button. So you can go up and down with it to move between different pages, hop into your map and things like that. Act as a zoom button, go back home with it here. And then you've got a menu button. So if you wanted to go back to that home menu there, you could. And then your fingerprint reader is right down there. So if you wanted to set up that fingerprint lock. Using factory navigation inside of this car is very straightforward. You've got the option of tapping here now in order to be able to cancel a route if there's one active, look at destinations, point of interest icons, look at a series of navigation settings too, so you can show your vehicle speed on the map. Fuel prices if you wanted to show that. If you want to show or hide certain point of interest icons, you could. There's some basic guidance options, so route options. Do you want the fastest, the shortest, most eco-friendly route, and in which order? Because if you were to do a drag and drop, you'd be able to drag around for whatever you'd like first. So if you wanted the fastest route first, most economical, etc. Border crossing, if you're going cross-border. If there's alternate routes that are available, that would show up. You can get alerts there too. So if you're coming to an upcoming red light camera. There's some basic map preferences. You've got a map mode available where you've got things like 2D, 3D, etc. So if you wanted to change up the view, I mean, look at that as it does it, pretty neat. So you can change it up to any of these available views and then auto scale whether or not it zooms in and out as you get closer to your next destination. There are a few different options for the map. If you want more of like a classic neon look, neon's actually pretty neat, I think. Font size, oh, they changed this. So there's an extra large icon. They're available now. It's not a huge difference, but if you needed it a little bit easier to see, that's available. And then there's also your auto scale. So do you want it to zoom in a little bit closer, default, or zoom out as necessary? And that's when you're coming to an upcoming turn. There are navigation features, previous destinations. Just from a basic safety perspective, you may not want to save your previous destinations at all. So you'd have the flexibility of being able to deselect that, which means that your previous destinations won't be saved. Moving back here, you've got your GPS information here too. So you can see your GPS coordinates, your latitude, longitude. So if you ever get lost, you need to call a tow, etc., you can give them that information. And that's the basics of your navigation features. And then actually using navigation, so along the top here, you can search by GPS coordinates, so latitude first, longitude second. You'd be able to start typing in addresses there. Point of interest icons, you can search using your voice. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
Please say the line number of the location you want to go to.
2.
Would you like guidance to this location?
Yes. So you can navigate using your voice, which is
Route
incredibly
guidance will
useful.
start
So you can see there, we've got the active route going now. When you've got the route going here, if you've got the option with the head-up display, your turn-by-turn directions would show up there. And then you've also got a mapping cluster view available. So if you use this little guy here, so you're going up and down to different views, you can move up and down, but I mean, look at this. So if you wanted more of like a fuller mapping cluster view, you've got that option. And then you could use your little dial in the middle in order to be able to zoom in or out. You can see here, look at that. This looks beautiful as they do that. Along the bottom now, you can tap here in order to be able to see your route, arrival time. You can add in an additional stop too. So if you have to stop at 3, 4, 5 plus different places, you can easily add in additional stops here too. So maybe you wanted to, I don't know, go to a gas station too. So let's go random gas station and okay. And what we've done is we've added in additional stops. You can keep on adding in additional steps if you'd like to. You can do a drag across. So if you wanted to be able to reorganize these, you'd have that flexibility too. And then once you're ready, just tap route, and then that's going to set up any of the available options for your route. So if there were different ways that you get to your destinations, you can look to see what options are available. You can add in additional stops, look at some route options. So if you wanted the fastest, most economical, etc., you've got that available. And then back in is going to set us up at the previous route. There we go. And back. And back. So we've got our current route that we've got going here. You can tap this in order to change up your different views if you'd like to. You can see where you're currently located. You can tap this if you wanted to be able to come out to this little split screen, or hide that split screen instead. Along the top, you can hit the X icon there in order to be able to cancel the route out. But it's that easy using navigation. If we tap here, you've got all of your additional options available. Turn the display off. Hitting the search icon again is going to bring up any addresses that you've searched for previously. You can also add in a home or a work address. And one of the big benefits of adding in a home or a work address, you'll be able to tap the voice command prompt, say navigate home, navigate to work, and it'll navigate to whatever options you've got set up there. They're pretty useful if you tend to go to the same spot multiple times. You've got basic destination information, so searching, you can look for previous destinations. You've got different places, point of interest icons, and then any saved addresses that you've gone to as well, so you can add in multiple favorite places. Phone projection would be if you've got an Android or an iPhone hooked up. So for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, there are no phones connected as of right now. So let's go ahead and set up a phone.
Turn Bluetooth on in your mobile device in order to search.
Starting off on the iPhone
On your
side.
device, select the name that matches vehicle name on the screen.
Go, GV70. And pins match up, so let's go ahead and pair. Do you want all the contacts and favorites to sync up? This is not my car, so I'm just going to tap don't allow there. If it was yours, you could say yes. And we're connected right now over Bluetooth.
Download was unsuccessful.
That said unsuccessful because I said no, but your phone is connected here, so you'll be able to make phone calls and stream audio. So we're connected over Bluetooth right now, but we're not connected over CarPlay as of yet. So there are two different systems, but Apple CarPlay is backwards compatible here, so you could use wired connection if you'd like to. It's strictly USB Type-C in the armrest, and you have to use the port that's marked USB, so that's the one on the left-hand side. But you've got support for wireless, so let's go ahead and use CarPlay. Do you want to use CarPlay? Yes. There we go. We can see that phone projections become CarPlay, and look at that. We are fully connected right now. And then on the Apple CarPlay side of things, you've got this kind of section locked into place here for CarPlay. You've got your current time, connection, and battery level. These are the apps that were last opened. So last open map, audio application, miscellaneous app. With this icon, you can tap to get to an icon view, back to this home screen for CarPlay. Now, this home screen here is locked into place, so you can't customize it. This is going to be whatever map was open last. Your search box and audio box will always be there. If you have a calendar notification coming up today that hasn't passed, that would show up. If there were no calendar notifications available, then the search and the audio box would be stretched across the top. Well, if you can't even get to this step because CarPlay is not connecting for you, check down in the description of this video for some common CarPlay fixes that you can try. Now, with yourself connected to Apple CarPlay, you've also got your voice command prompt here. So if you were to do a long push and hold, that is going to pull up your Siri assistant. If you do a short button push, that's just going to be the assistant for the vehicle, and then launch right back into CarPlay from there. But on the CarPlay side of things, you've got Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze that are all available. And no pinch to zoom capabilities, unfortunately, but it's real. I love using Waze because if there are things on the route as you go, and specifically things like speed traps, right? Police pulling people over, you can give other drivers a heads up. So if you notice that there's a speed trap, if there are hazards on the road, things like that, you can let other drivers know. But Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze are all good apps to use, really responsive there, but no pinch to zoom capabilities, unfortunately. You've got Live One, which is a radio app. You've got podcasts that are available there too. Hoopla is a library app, so there are a lot of different apps. YouTube Music is available there, but not YouTube Video. So the screen has video playback support over USB, but not through Apple CarPlay. It's one thing I'd like to see, but it's not there yet. And then you can kind of customize CarPlay a little bit. So you can tap the settings icon here to turn yourself into driving focus, but there are a series of other options here too. So you can change with the wallpaper. So if there's a color scheme that works better for you, you'd have the flexibility of being able to customize that theme if you'd like to. You can also customize the icon layout for CarPlay if you'd like. So what you're going to do on your phone, you're going to go into your settings. From there, go into General, CarPlay, find your vehicle. There's enhanced integration available. I'll show you that one in just a second, but we're going to go customize. And you can see here, we can customize the layout. So maybe you wanted podcasts along the top and you wanted a different map application along the top, you can do that. Anything with a minus next to it, you can remove it from the screen. So if you know that there are apps that you're just never going to use, you can fully remove them. You can add them back in though, along the very bottom. And then you can also just keep on dragging around. But if you don't like what you've done with the icon layout, along the top right side of the phone, there's a reset option. So you tap reset, reset layout, and that just brings you back to the factory default layout screen there instead. So pretty simple. Back home from there. If you wanted to get back to the main home screen, you can push the little home icon or any of the little icons along the very bottom. One thing I mentioned, we've got the enhanced integration. So if you go back into CarPlay, find your vehicle, you've got enhanced integration here. So the way that that works, let's say if we were to look at our maps there, and let's just add in a random destination here. So we've got our route that we're currently taking. So the way that enhanced integration works is if you were on your map screen, so you're going to tap down in order to get to your map view there. And once you've got your map screen selected, what it's doing is it's pulling whatever map application you've got open right inside of the cluster screen. So rather than it relying on factory navigation, it's using the maps from your phone instead. Now that doesn't stretch across the top there for the head-up display. It's strictly going to be inside of the cluster. But if you're a bigger fan of using Apple Maps, Waze, etc. inside of your phone, you can shoot it right inside of the cluster, which I mean, I love that you've got that available. If you go back to your home screen there, you can launch back into CarPlay this way if you'd like to. Back home, if you go into your setup, device connections, you've got the phone that's currently connected over CarPlay. So you've got the flexibility of tapping the icons there, and what we're doing is disconnecting from CarPlay and we're reconnecting over Bluetooth instead. But that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the GV70. Setting up Android devices inside of the GV70 is a pretty straightforward process. If you weren't on this screen, let's say if you were back home, if you didn't have a phone connected, you could just tap on phone, but I've currently got the iPhone connected here, so we can add new from here. If that doesn't pop up, just go into your setup here, device connections, and then just tap
Turn
add new.
Bluetooth on in your mobile device in order to search.
There we go, and we've got
On your
our
device. Select the name that matches vehicle name on the screen.
Genesis there. Do you want to sync contacts? I'm going to say no. Sync messages? No. Again, because this is not my car. If it was yours, you could say yes. Now you can stop here. We do have wireless Android Auto support, but you can just connect over Bluetooth and just tap no there if you'd like to. Android Auto is also wireless with backwards compatibility, so you can use USB if you'd like to. You're just going to use the USB ports inside of the armrest, and it's specifically the port marked USB along the left-hand side. But there's wireless support, so we may as well use that. So let's just go ahead and tap yes. And then on your phone, welcome to Android Auto, so you have to connect through there. And that's the only thing you should have to select. There we go. Like that, we are fully connected there. Now, on the Android Auto side of things, you've got your current connection level and battery level there. You've got Google Maps here, and Google Maps has full pinch to zoom capability, so you can swipe around with your finger, pinch to zoom there. You can go full screen map if you'd like to. And then you've got your basics for Google Maps there. You've got your voice command prompt, so you can do a long push and hold on the voice command prompt button on the steering wheel if you wanted to activate your phone assistant that way. You can tap this in order to get back to your split screen or full screen map there again. And then I've got the icon view. Just by tapping that icon, you get to this view instead. So you could launch into different applications. Now, I do have Waze installed on this device. If Waze is installed on your Android and it's not showing up, check down in the description of this video for some common fixes that you can try. But you've got the flexibility of being able to customize this icon layout if you'd like to. So on your Android phone, you're just going to search for Android Auto. You're going to go into Android Auto settings. And once you do that, you're going to pull up to this screen here. What you want to do is go to Customize Launcher. When you do that, you'll pull up to this screen. Anything with a check mark next to it, you can either add it in or remove it from the screen. But you can also adjust these just by pushing and holding the icon along the outside. In order for those changes to come into effect, all you have to do is go back to your home screen, get into your vehicle setup, device connections. You're just going to disconnect from Android Auto, reconnect to Android Auto. Let's go ahead and open, and in a few seconds there. Back to our icon view, you can see that the changes that we made have now come into effect. So it's not dynamic, but it's easy enough to be able to set this up. Now, if you were to go back home again, go back into your setup, let's go device connections. You've got both phones that have been connected. So you can either be hooked up to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, so you can't do both, but you can do a little bit of a mix and match here if you want to. So as this connects, let's say if we were to do this. So you wanted to have one phone connected for phone calls, you can do that. One phone connected for media. So you can kind of do a little bit of a mix and match that way if you'd like to. You can do a drag and drop to see who gets connection priority. You can tap delete here in order to mark all. So if you wanted to remove phones, you could. Just tap delete and yes. And look at that, both phones have been disconnected. It's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the GV70. You can tap Bluetooth system prompts in order to play prompts, mute them out, but you've also got your vehicle name. So if you wanted to change it up to something different, Bob's ride, Sally's ride, you've got that flexibility. And then you've got some basic phone projection settings for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So nothing overly exciting there, but that's how you set up phones inside of the GV70. You've got your setup options available, and there are a boatload of settings here, which I'll touch on last, but you've also got a 3D setup available too. So it's essentially the exact same as the other setup option, but you can rotate and you can kind of zoom in if you'd like to in order to get into individual settings. So if you wanted to hop inside the car, as you hop in, you can change out your head-up display. So you get to all of the same options as your setup. It's just done in a pretty neat 3D way instead. You've got voice memos that are available here. So if you wanted to make memos directly to the vehicle, you could. And then you've got media. So you've got a few different options for your media here. You've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, so you can see your different options along the top. As you move through, it's pretty simple. You can seek to stations this way if you'd like to. You've got the option of toggling HD radio on or off. You can scan to different stations if you'd like. You can save in presets, so as you see a little star icon there, but you can also just tap your list view, and that's going to show you every available station based off of your geographic area. So if you're new to an area and you're not sure what stations are available, you can pull this up and then just tap the star icon next to any of these stations in order to be able to save them in as a preset. So as we go here, you can see you can tap through, and the ones that are highlighted there are now our favorites. If you were to tap back, you've got all of your presets that you've set up there along the bottom, and it's a mix of AM, FM, and SiriusXM. If you were to tap back to your list view here again, you can get back into this, hop into your AM stations that were available, SiriusXM stations, some music, sports, news, talk, etc. You can tap this along the top in order to toggle the display off. Look at some different options for your sound settings here too, which I'll touch on that one in just a second here, but it's pretty simple using this. Because this is SiriusXM now, you've got the flexibility of being able to play pause live radio. You can direct tune that way if you'd like to, so if you know the station that you want to tune to, and that works the same way if you're on FM. So if you wanted to direct tune that way, or 102.1 FM.
Now listening to FM 102.1.
You can also change audio stations using your voice. And then, if you'd like to, save the station in as a favorite. It's pretty simple. Now, you can't change those stations here at the bottom, so those things are locked into place here. If you were to tap this, back to your sound settings again, you've got a few different options available. So you've got your speed-dependent volume. So as you go faster or slower, it's going to automatically raise or lower the volume for you. You've also got a startup limiter. So if you've got the audio cranked, you're just rocking out. When you go to turn the vehicle off and then back on again, it's going to limit the volume for you, so it's not loud when you get in. You've got the option of adjusting out your bass and your treble here. What I'd actually recommend is play one of your favorite songs. And while that's playing, drag this little thing around until it sounds perfect for you. I tend to find something kind of like this works well, but maybe you like something like this. So like I said, play one of your favorite songs until it sounds good for you. You can change it the position too. So if you wanted it focused on the driver, back seats, etc., or recenter it back to the middle again, there are a series of different things for volumes here. So guidance volumes. So what it's going to do is giving you the flexibility of being able to adjust all of the different volumes here. So all of your beeps, alerts, etc. Your navigation voice alerts. Do you want to get those alerts? Yay, nay. You have different priority volumes here too. So what these priority volumes mean, whether it's for navigation, safety, etc. If you've got the audio cranked and something's happening, so there's an upcoming turn, etc., it's going to slightly lower the audio for a second to let you know what's going on. And then a welcome sound when you start the vehicle up. There's some navigation option controls there, nothing exciting. Road noise, nothing exciting. Driving assistant sounds here. And then these, you've got a few different options. So you've got a haptic warning. So the way that the haptic warning works is if there's some sort of a safety system going off, so you've got your blind spot alert, whatever the case may be, you might get a steering wheel vibration, almost like you're running over a rumble pavement or there's something wrong with your alignment. There's nothing wrong, it's just that there's something going on. So the vehicle's kind of giving you a little warning that there's something going on, but you can toggle that haptic warning system off. You've got your blind spot safety sound there too. So if there's somebody in your blind spot, you can get an actual notification there. So there's a little thing on the side view mirror that's going to highlight, but you can get a physical sound. And then your driving safety priorities. So if you're parking, you've got that sensing system with your audio cranked. It'll slightly lower the volume for that beeping. Connected device volumes. So you can set individual volumes for things for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, with Apple CarPlay getting a boatload of other options for sound volumes. It's pretty simple using this, but that's using your main radio inside of the ride, so AM, FM, SiriusXM. You can tap here in order to get to a few additional options too. So you can enter a station that way. You can adjust out radio noise. You can delete presets here too. So you've got all the presets you've got set up. So if you wanted to delete certain ones, just select whichever one or ones that you'd like to delete. And once you do, just delete. Yes. And it's removed that preset. Hopping back in here, you've got your sounds and then your steering wheel touchpad. So nothing exciting there. But that's the basics of using the main elements of your radio, but you've also got media. And with media, you can see here AM, FM, SiriusXM, sounds of nature. So if you wanted more of those relaxing, it's kind of chilled out sounds, you've got that available here. If we go back to our media though for a second, if we go here, you've got all of your different media sources. So you've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay if they were available. If you had a USB stick with MP3s and other audio formats, that would be available, but there's also USB video here too. So USB video, not every single audio source or video source is available, but you can see here, I've got a few different video files in this USB stick here, but it supports a number of different files. But I mean, that is great. Now here's the thing, with USB video, it's strictly when the vehicle is parked. So as you go to start driving, the video format, or the video would go away completely. But it's pretty neat that you've got that available as an option. You can go to all of your available movies that are on the USB stick. So if you wanted to watch movies inside of the screen, you've got that flexibility. It's not like crazy full screen, but I mean, that's still pretty neat at the same time. You can tap there, here in order to get to your display options. You can tap back again if you'd like to get to your root of whatever options are available inside of the USB stick. If you were to tap media again, you can tap this in order to be able to toggle the display off or to change out the media source. So if you wanted to get back to USB music, you've got that option. And then USB music works the same way. So you've got all of the available sounds that are on that USB stick. You've got HD radio there. So there's some radio information, traffic, fuel prices, etc. You've got all of your climate control settings baked right into the screen, but just underneath, you've also got this whole tray. And you've got technically tri-zone climate control. You've got your basics here, so you can adjust out the fan speed this way. You've also got heated, ventilated first row seats as an option. So you'll at least have heated first row seats with the option for ventilated. Heated steering wheel is there with 2 unique levels. And then you've got your basic controls for your passenger side. If the passenger side is set to something different, you can tap sync in order to sync it up to whatever the driver's side set to. So you've got all of these options built right into the screen with some other controls right underneath. And then there are different options that you can control using your voice there too. Change the climate to 19 degrees.
Setting the temperature to 19 degrees.
So you can also change out climate using your voice there too. So if you didn't want to have to fiddle with any of the different buttons, you've got the flexibility of being able to adjust it out that way too, which is pretty neat. You can tap this if you wanted to toggle the display off or look at some available climate settings. So recirculate, auto ventilation, etc. I recommend keeping these things on. Defog, defrost. You've got some basic climate settings. So you can lock out the rear climate controls. So if people in the back are fighting over the climate, you can lock that out if you'd like to. There are touch button haptics, and the haptic feedback going to be right in the screen here. So as you go to touch different things, you actually do get a little bit of feedback on your finger as you touch the different climate control options there. Then you've got your heated ventilated options, so your seat balance. Do you want it more focused on the back, the cushion, etc. for both the driver and for the passenger seat? Then, one other thing I missed out, rear climate controls. So you've got the flexibility of controlling climate for those second row seats here too. So you can toggle it on, off as necessary, and then I showed you the flexibility of being able to lock that out too. There are some basic seat options for the first row driver passenger seat. So as we move through, there's your comfortable stretch, but then there's also smart posture assistant. So the seat essentially helps you out as you drive. Along the driver's seat here, you've got a series of other buttons. So you've got this one here, and that's going to be to adjust out the leg cushion. So if you wanted to adjust it out so that it's perfect for your leg position, you can do that. You can move the seat forwards, backwards, up and down. You can adjust the backrest. And then there's multi-way lumbar support with a little dial there. And when you adjust that, that's going to be for adjusting your side bolsters. So the sides of the seat so it can hug your body a bit more. There's also this little button here. And when you tap that one, that's actually for your available massage chair seat. So you've got the flexibility of toggling that massage chair seat on, off as necessary there with a few unique options for what type of massage are you getting. It's pretty neat. And then you can also adjust out how long does that massage last for. Really, really good for those longer drives. There's an available quiet mode, which means that it's just going to play audio through the front speakers at a lower volume. There are connected services. Valet mode is available there too. So what that's going to do is lock the screen out so that a valet driver wouldn't be able to look through the infotainment system. Terrain mode is available there, and as of right now, terrain mode is turned off. So just underneath the screen here, you've got this little switch, so you can push in to get to either different terrain or drive modes, and then you just move up and down. But as you do that, you can see here, you've got your different modes. So eco mode is going to give you the best possible economy inside of the car. Comfort is more for like your day-to-day driving. You've got sport mode available with Sport Plus. Now, Sport Plus gives you the flexibility of using launch control. There's your My mode, which gives you the flexibility of customizing your own unique mode. But then you tap this again to get to your terrain modes. And when you do, you've got 3 different modes there. So either snow, mud, or sand. So they're going to play with traction control, stability control, the engine shift points and things like that too to optimize engine performance under different scenarios. But you can see inside of the infotainment, as you actually move to your different terrain modes, you can see different things. So things like your steering angles and things like that, which, I mean, can be very useful if your plan is to go off pavement. Very, very useful. And from here, got some notifications. There's a fully digital owner's manual available, so you just scan the QR code on your phone. There's quick guides and then basic manuals there too. So if this video doesn't help out, you're getting weird messages in the cluster screen, you've got the flexibility of being able to go through that option. And then setup is where we're going to go in order to get to all of the available options for the vehicle. So if you go to your vehicle settings there, you've got a boatload of options here. So as we kind of dive through, you can get to either a basic list view or you've got your icon view there instead. So if we go through, let's go driving assistance and we'll start off on driving convenience. There's a speed limit warning there too. There actually is a speed limit assist here. If you were to take this button to turn on your cruise control, if you push and hold it, that's going to be a speed limit assist. So what that's going to do is it's going to limit the speed based off of whatever your current road speed is. You've got your speed limit warnings here too though. So do you want to get those warnings yay, nay? That is available. You can turn your speed limit off there completely if you'd like to. So if you just don't even want that shown, you can do that. But there's also your speed offset. So if you've got the speed limit assist turned on, how fast or slow are you okay with going over under the speed limit? Like I said, I'm not a fan of that one, but let's say, so as an example there, if the speed were to go from 50 to 60, the vehicle can automatically increase your speed. If it goes from 50 down to 60, it can decrease your speed there. You've got some different warnings options that are available. So we've seen these ones here. Driver attention warning with a few ones here. Leading vehicle departure. So if you've come down to a complete stop and the car in front of you starts driving and you haven't started driving yet, you'll get a message in the cluster screen telling you to start driving. Inattentive driver warning is there too. So if you start to veer over too many times without signaling, nodding off, etc., eventually the car is going to tell you that you should probably take a break. There are some driving safety options here too. So if you're potentially going to get into a collision, it can let you know of a potential collision. It can brake for you too. There's cross-traffic safety, so if you're pulling out of a space, etc., there's somebody coming perpendicular, it's going to let you know of a potential collision. There's your lane safety. There's a blind spot view monitor here too. So if you've got it available, when you hit your turn stalk to go left or right, you've got that little monitor, so it utilizes the side-mounted cameras to show you that there's somebody in your blind spot. There's your blind spot safety. So if somebody enters the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight on either side in order to let you know that there's somebody there. There's exit safety too. So if you go to get out of the vehicle, it's going to let you know. So it's essentially going to warn you if there's a vehicle that you're potentially going to door. So if you parallel parked, etc., and you go to open up that driver door, it's going to let you know of a potential accident that's going to happen. There's some parking safety, camera settings. You've got your different warning guidelines there. So we shift into reverse. So you've got your guidelines, dynamic, etc. If you'd like them. I know some people aren't crazy about those guidelines, but you've got the flexibility of being able to get rid of the guidelines if you'd really like to. Do you want your different safety options there? So rear cross-traffic safety works the same as the forward. So if you're backing up, somebody's coming from the left or the right, it can let you know. Do you want to get warnings on the sides, the front, etc.? Just good basic safety settings. But again, you can disable all of this if you really wanted to. And then you can see here, as we dive through, we've already seen all these options. So Genesis has kind of laid it out a few different ways. So you've got a list view or a basic view there instead. Drive modes are available, which we've already seen your main modes, but there's the unique My Mode that's available here. So if we go back to our modes there, and we've got My Mode. So that's your individual drive mode that we're looking at here. With your drive mode, what do you want the powertrain to be like? You can go sport, comfort, etc. So you're essentially customizing it and making it perfect for you. That's the same thing with steering. Now, the difference between the steering here, so comfort means that you have to throw the steering wheel a little bit more in order to turn, versus sport stiffens things up. And then there's also an available coasting mode too, which is kind of neat. So when you've got, well, actually it explains it exactly there too. So hold on, if we go back to our settings for a second, vehicle, drive mode, and coasting. So you can see here with the coasting option, what it's going to do is it actually decouples the transmission from the engine. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you better overall fuel economy as you go. It's strictly when you're in the eco driving mode or the smart mode. So the smart mode means that the vehicle figures out what mode that you're in. There's active sound design, and then you've got your head-up display. The head-up display is not a standard piece of tech, but you can also adjust different things out. So you can adjust out the height. So how high or low does it sit? For brightness, I always recommend maximum brightness inside of the head-up display, but you can adjust the height, the rotation, or the content. So if you have factory navigation going, is it going to show your turn-by-turn directions? If there's somebody in your blind spot, if you've got a call going, radio going, things like that, it can show all of this information inside of the head-up display. There's some basic options for climate. We've already seen these one, defog, defrost. I just recommend keeping these as the default. With your seat, let's see here, smart support, your ergo motion seat, so that's that massage chair seat with different options there. Your heated ventilated seat, do you want to change out the balance? Again, we've seen these, so you'll see a few of these things a few different places. You've got lighting available here too, so there is ambient light available where you can adjust the brightness, but you can also adjust the color. So if you wanted it something different or even your own unique color scheme, you've got the flexibility of being able to change it out. We can just kind of barely see it during the daytime, but at night, it actually looks pretty cool. And one really neat thing is that you can also link it to your drive mode. So as you go between different drive modes, like your eco versus your sport mode, it turns it red and it just looks so good in comparison. And then you can also have it dim it out if you'd like to on top of that. Your turn signal's there, so as a default, it's going to be 3 flashes. So you can have it as either 1, 3, 5, or 7. You've got your welcome lighting there as you go to approach the vehicle. So do you want your puddle lights to come on, etc. There's a headlight delay available there too. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps just turn off or do they stay on? There's some basic options for your door liftgate. When do you want the vehicle to automatically lock or unlock? Do you want a 2-press unlock on the key fob? You can also change up how fast or slow the liftgate door opens up, and you've also got different height options too. So you've got 3 unique ones. You can see how high up it's going to open there, but you can do full open or you can select your own height. There's a button along the liftgate door in order to be able to set your own unique height that way too. There's a smart liftgate that's available, and then you can also open the windows remotely. So let's hop outside and I'll show you how a few of these features work. In order to remote start, just push the lock button once and then push and hold that circle button there for a few seconds. And you have to push that within a few seconds of hitting lock and your remote started. Oh, you can cancel the remote start easily as well. You're just going to push and hold that circle button in order to cancel remote start. You can get into the trunk of the car a few different ways. So you can push and hold the button there to do it. You can also push the button here to open, but then you've got the smart trunk feature. So as long as you've got the fob on you and you walk up to a certain distance, it'll automatically open. If it starts to do that, you can also push lock in order to cancel the process. You can set your own unique height here. So once you get the liftgate up to whatever height you'd like, push and hold the button here for a few seconds. And now it's not going to open up past that point. And you can just push to close. Once the car door is locked, the fuel door is also locked. So you just have to unlock in order to get inside. And then there's also your remote smart parking buttons. So in order to use these, push the lock button, and then you're just going to remote start. So if you need to get out of a tight space because some donkeys kind of blocked you in, you can move the vehicle forwards or backwards. So you're just going to push either way. Watch this. It's going to start moving the vehicle forward, nobody in. You can release it, go the opposite way. And then one neater thing is that if the wheels are turned and you go to use this system, it's actually going to straighten the wheels out for you too. It's a really neat feature. But if you want to walk through on actually using Park Assist, the remote smart parking system, you'll find a walkthrough on how to do it down in the description of this video. But it is a phenomenal system overall. And then there's one other thing about the fob, and that's the flexibility of rolling the windows down. So in order to do it, you're going to double push the unlock button and hold on the second press. So you're just going to go 1, 2, and hold, and watch this. Down the windows go. You can release in order to pause the process, or double push again in order to keep it going. And it's just going to be the window. So first, second row doesn't open up the sunroof. Well, unfortunately, North American Genesis vehicles doesn't let you reverse the process. So you can lock the doors, but you can't roll the windows back up on the fob. Some international models might let you do it. You just double push the lock button to do it. But unfortunately, like I said, North America, we don't have that option. So pretty neat settings all across the board. Back from here, There's a digital key available, so you've got the available app for iPhones and Android devices. I unfortunately can't show you that process because this is not my car, so if you want to walk through from Genesis directly on how to set that up, you'll find it down in the description, but it's pretty simple. And it's the same thing with the NFC key card. So you'd actually just go right by the driver's door handle in order to be able to use the smartphone as a key or the NFC key card. Then there are basic convenience settings. So if the second row doors have been opened up, turn the vehicle off and get out. It's going to tell you to check the back seats. You could, let's see, if you're doing oil changes yourself, reset that. Auto wiper when in reverse. So if you've got your front windshield wipers going, you put yourself into reverse, it's automatically going to turn on the rear wiper for you. Let's see, those are all of our basic settings. Those are all of our vehicle settings there. Navigation options, which we've already seen as we went through our navigation. There are some sound settings, which we've already seen that. So adjusting out your treble, bass, etc. Device connections, if you've got different devices connected to the vehicle, or if you wanted to adjust out your vehicle name, that's where you're going to make it happen. You can adjust out your user profiles here, which we've already seen, and that includes setting up a password or your fingerprint identification, changing out different things, deleting profiles, etc. There's voice recognition. I'd recommend reduce the number of prompts, and the reason why. 94.9 FM.
Now listening to FM 94.9.
So it tells us that it's going to do the change, but if you, let's see, reduce the number of prompts, and then 97.7 FM. It just does it now. So rather than it telling us it's going to do it, it just does it when you do reduce the number of prompts. And in just a second here, that'll go away. See, you've got your screen theme layout that's available here too. So you've got a few different looks that are available. So do you want to go white, black, or automatic? Automatic means that it's going to flip you between either the white or the black, just depending on how bright it is outside. But I mean, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And it does a full wraparound too. So inside of the cluster screen, the infotainment side of things as well. You've got exterior color, and that's specifically of the vehicle. So as we go to different things like our available 360 camera, so you can see there, it's now changed it to red. So I kind of like it. It's like a small subtle detail, but you can match this up based off of whatever color your car is. So now when you're on any screen that has the car showing, it's going to show you what your car color is, which is like, it's such a small detail, but kind of a neat one at the same time. You can change out your font size. So do you want it either standard or extra large? And same thing with the font size for the map. Cluster theme selection, which we've seen. Screensaver is there. So when the screen is turned off, do you want nothing showing up? Do you want a digital clock, an analog clock with different watch faces? So if we were to toggle the display off, you've got a slightly different look now. Or if you wanted something digital. So you can kind of change this up, which I kind of like the look of. You've got that flexibility. You can look at some different options for your cluster, and the cluster widgets is the guys there. Your center display, you've got some different options for your gauges. So do you want digital versus analog gauges? So if you wanted more of that like classic look with your tachometer, speedometer, you've got that available. You've got your different cluster modes there. So we can either use the little toggle up and down this way in order to adjust it, or you could adjust it out this way. So if you wanted to go different modes there, you've got that option. Basics for your display, so you've got your illumination, camera settings, which we've already seen that one. So your park distance warning, as you get closer to obstacles, does that show up, yay, nay? Your different guidelines there. There's an available blue light filter inside of the vehicle too. So if you use the blue light filter, it's very subtle, but what it's gonna do, if we go warmer, you'll be able to notice, yeah, look at that, wild. Looks crazy during the daytime, but what it's gonna do is essentially remove the blue light from the vehicle. Helps with eye strain. There's video options available there too, so if you had an active video going. You've got a boatload of different buttons that are available here too. So you've got your custom button by the radio and a few others. So by the radio is going to be this one right down here. So when you go to push that button, what happens? Do you want to cancel a route out if you've got a route going? Do you want to go phone projection? Do you want it to go for your home screen, toggle the display off, etc.? So you've got that flexibility. I actually think doing a home screen button would now work. So if you were to tap that button now, it's going to bring you back to the main home screen. Or whatever option that you've got set up there. And there's some other basics here. Your touch button haptics. Do you want to get any sort of haptic feedback down the bottom there? Do you want to lock the front touchpad out completely too? There are some connected services available. And then you've got a series of general settings. So you can see what software version that you're on, some basic system information. You can also adjust out the date and time. Now this is grayed out because you're in the auto mode right now. So if you were to deselect, that's going to give you the flexibility of setting the date and time yourself. So if you wanted to do that, you've got that option. Unless you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone though, set it automatic. And then do you want that military time instead? So the 12 versus 24-hour mode. Are we adjusting for daylight savings time? Yay or nay? You can change out your language. So do you want to be in English, French, Spanish, or Korean? Changing out your keyboard options there too. So you've got a few different options for your keyboard languages. You've got media options here. So do you want your radio off when you go to start the vehicle up? Let's see, do you want the media continue playing for a few minutes after you turn the car off? And then you've got some reset options. So if you were in the guest profile, you wouldn't be able to do a full reset, but you can delete profiles, but you can also reset all. So what reset all is going to do is exactly that. It's essentially going to wipe the infotainment system clean. But if you're running into problems, so let's say if Apple CarPlay is not working, Android Auto is not working, etc., you could do a full factory reset. But the downside of doing the reset is it's going to wipe everything from the infotainment system. So it's going to get rid of profiles, any addresses that you've saved, presets that you've set up, and things like that. What you actually want to do is a soft screen reboot. In order to do a soft screen reboot, what you want to do is put the car into accessory mode. So in order to do that, turn the car off first. Once you're turned off, don't hit the brake pedal. Little animations there. So don't hit the brake pedal here, so foot off the brake, and then you're just going to hit the start-stop button there. And what that's going to do is put you into accessory mode. So you have to be in accessory mode in order for this next step to work. From here, all you're going to do is take the map button and the setup button, and you're going to push them both simultaneously. So push and hold both for about 5-10 seconds or so. And you can see there, restarted, and we're going through a reboot process. So it's very similar to doing a reset on your phone. So what we're doing is essentially clearing the cache. So that should get rid of the majority of issues that you're facing. So like I said, Apple CarPlay is not working, Android Auto is not working, whatever the case may be. That should solve that problem. If that doesn't work, the next step would be to try a full screen reset. If that doesn't work, then the next step from there would be to go through and take it in to your dealership in order for them to have a look. Your rotary dial shifter here, so you've got your park, reverse, neutral, drive. The shifter, it feels good in the hand, and one thing I love is that when you're out of park, you turn the car off, auto shifts you into park. There's some cup holders here with a wireless charge pad, and then bunch of ports down there too. So you've got a USB, power point, charge port, and then a 12 volt down there too. The glove box inside of the car is fully lockable with a good amount of space in that box. Overhead, you've got that fully digital rear view mirror. There's a home link system built in, so if you've got a garage door opener at home, you'd be able to program it in there too. There's a sunglasses holder up overhead, along with basic controls for your cabin lights, SOS and tow mode just in case, and then there's controls for your full panoramic sunroof, and then the shade there too. But I mean, this is just beautiful. Hold on. Just opens things up so nicely. Love that. And yeah, because this is the sport trim oval, you're also looking at a suede headliner there too. From there, your visor is a little ticket receipt holder there, vanity mirror there with a little light built in right over top. And then this little feller also extends out to block all of the sun that might be hitting your face. But I mean, Genesis did a phenomenal job here. The visibility across the board for the car is great. And then second row, you don't find this in many cars. We've got some sunshades built right in because this is a 16 speaker. You got, again, speakers everywhere with that same carbon fiber highlight along the door. Inside of the second row here, so I've got the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall. I've got some knee space, got some foot space, which is good. And then Headspace is actually also pretty good too. So it's decent. So I've got maybe like less than an inch of head clearance space. So not a ton, but I mean, 6 feet tall, and I still have some wiggle room back here, which is nice. And then the lever along the side that you'd use in order to fold the seat flat, you can also give yourself a bit of a recline. So it's not a big recline, but I mean, it's enough to create even more space. But outside of that, the seats are locked into place. So there's no sliding them forwards or backwards at all. But like I said, plenty spacious inside of this car. And then if we look around, ooh, there we go. So you can see here, so we've got a little hump in the middle. So is it possible to fit 3 full-size adults in here? Yes, with an asterisk, depending on how big they are. So that's tight, but one cool thing. So yeah, you can actually control the first row passenger seat here too, using these buttons. Which, I mean, there's no way to disable that, so I could definitely see kids driving parents crazy, for sure. But yeah, it's not overly spacious for 3 adults my size. But if you've got kids, it's not a problem. You've got all of your anchor points down low with your tethers in behind the seats. There's some cup holders built right into the seat there too. And then outside of that, top, you've got a little handle hook and a cabin light. That's the same along the driver's side here. So a little handle, hook, and then a cabin light there too. Yeah, you can see here some ambient light, which just looks so good at nighttime. There's a map pocket behind both the driver and the passenger side. Down low, you've got this little console control for the second row climate. So you can adjust this out here. You do have the flexibility of locking the climate controls out so people in the second row can't use it. There is the option for heated second row seats, and that's just heated on the outboard. So the middle seat here would never be heated. And outside of that, you've got a boatload, more USB ports, so 2 more USB Type-C charge ports, and then a traditional wall plug. It's only rated for 150, so you're not going to be able to plug many things in here, but you know, some things can plug in no problem. The rear end style of the GV70 is great. You're going to find LED tail lamps inside of the car and dual tip exhaust. And then similar to most other Genesis cars, again, loaded with technology. So the reverse park sensing system's there. There's a backup camera along with your rear wiper. And there's also a top mounted camera for fully digital rear view. Then towing inside of the GV70 is possible. It doesn't matter if you're in the 2.5 or the 3.5. You're maxing out at 3,500 pound towing capacity from the factory, assuming that your trailer has brakes. If you're pulling a trailer without integrated brakes, you're dropping down to 1,653 pounds, which, I mean, small boats, bike rack carriers, things like that, you won't have an issue whatsoever. Getting into the trunk of the ride can be done a few different ways. There's a button to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can use the key fob to do it. On the rear wiper, there's also a button there that you can push. And then you're also going to find a hands-free liftgate. So as long as you've got the key fob on you with the car locked, just going to walk up towards the back end. And there's this kind of sweet spot that you've got to hit. Obviously with the fob in your pocket. And eventually it just pops open. Now you can hit the lock button in order to pause that process. But I love that feature. And then in the back here along the left, you've got a little light with a release for the second row seat and a speaker. Along the right-hand side, there's a 12-volt power point, and then a release for that right part of the second row seats. There's a little storage tray in the back here, and then lifting that up, you're going to find the jack stand, and then the mini spare tire is there. You just gotta lift up the little Velcro piece in the back here. So if you ever puncture a tire, you can try to change it out yourself because all the equipment's there. But being a Genesis owner, you also do have access to roadside assistance if you need it. Now, there also is a little cargo shield that's spring-loaded, so you can easily pull that out. And then folding down the second row seat, so you can do it from the trunk area. If you don't need to get into the trunk, you can fold them down along the second row seats there too. But along the side, it's a 60-40 split. So just pull and drop, and you get a great amount of space inside of the boot of this car. And the cargo measurements that you're looking at, the ones behind the first row, for me, go from right where that trunk door would close to just in behind the little armrest between the first row seats. Here's the thing, once those second row seats are down, it's actually locked down into place. So in order to be able to lift the seat back up again, the little lever that you'd pull in order to fold the seat down, you can pull that in order to lift it back up again. And then reinstalling the cover here, since it's spring-loaded, also really easy, just push, and you're good to go. And then you've also got the option of adjusting the height of the liftgate door if you want to. So if your garage opens up to a certain point, you can just pull this down, and then the button along the left-hand side, you're gonna push and hold it for a few seconds. And you get that chime, and now it won't open up past that point. And then there are some other user-selected heights available inside of the infotainment system. Filling up fuel inside of the GV70 is done just along the driver's side. One nice thing, when the car door is locked, the fuel door is also locked. So you just have to unlock in order to get inside. Looking at the fuel quality inside of the GV70, there's a difference between the minimum manufacturer's recommendation and the minimum requirement. So the recommendation from Genesis directly, it says it on the fuel door, is that premium fuel is recommended, but it doesn't say required. So if you look at the owner's manual, it actually says that you just can't use an E85. So you can get away with using a regular 87 octane inside of the GV70. But if you have the GV70 that's the 3.5 engine, I would absolutely recommend using a premium fuel. If you're just in the regular 2.5, 87, 89, you're not gonna have a problem. It's just that these turbocharged engines love premium fuel. So if you want the best possible performance, go for at least a 91 or higher if it's in the budget, but you'll be okay either way. The fuel economy inside of the car is also actually really good, like surprisingly good, especially when you're just coasting, because there is an available coasting mode inside of the car. So when you're in the eco drive mode, the transmission decouples from the engine, which means you just get better overall fuel economy. And coasting on the highway, I have gotten excellent economy overall, and this is the 3.5 engine. So if you want the best economy, the 2.5 is the way to go. But the 3.5, hands down, is the way that I would go for the added performance. But you're not going to be disappointed either way. Let's try some en route handling here. Beautiful. Handles well. Beautiful, up to speed. Here we go. So getting up to speed there, easy enough. It took the bend there well. And I 100% have to give the Genesis GV70 this. It is incredibly quiet inside of the cabin of this car. Like incredibly quiet. You can barely hear anything. Typically you'd hear something along the driver's side window seam. You get like the smallest amount of road noise, but I mean, it is an incredibly quiet drive. Love it. The driver's seat, really comfortable too. And I really, really like all of the driving technology that's available inside of the Genesis lineup. So this one, the Genesis lineup doesn't have full self-driving as of yet. They're really close though. There's an adaptive cruise control system with a lane follow assist. So that's what I'm using right now. So it can take you around bends no problem. There's even the option for lane change assist. So as long as the lane markings are recognized, it can automatically change lanes for you too. It is a really, really cool system. You do have to keep your hands on the steering wheel there, because if I was changing lanes and my hands were off the wheel, it would essentially cancel that system out. But it's a fantastic system overall. And that was everything you needed to know about the Genesis GV70. You can find all of the build details for this one down in the description, with links off to Genesis Canada and US. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care.